Hallo, ich bin Shahidah und ich wohne jetzt in Deutschland. Ich komme ursprünglich aus New York City. Ich bin hier mit Tasha bei ihrer Sendung und heute nennen wir das Hablamos Alemán. Und ich freue mich riesig. Und ja, das war's. Also ich bin auch die Gründerin von Black Girls Learn Languages. Das ist eine Online-Gemeinde für schwarze Frauen, die Sprachen lieben. Also die lernen die Sprachen, die lieben die Sprachen, auch die Kulturen, die mitkommen. Ansonsten, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yay! That was a great opening to the interview. Hey, everybody. Hola, hola, hola. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. No sé, pero donde tú estás, hola. Today we have with us Shahidah Foster, founder of Black Girls Learn Languages and probably a multitude of other things, and we'll get into that. So she started with her introduction, a self-introduction. As you all know, if you've been following the show for a while, our guest always leads with an introduction. Now today she speaks several things, but the leading language is Alemán or German. So I don't even know what she said, but at the end, as always, our guest will clarify what she said in English, so that could help me out. But it's a pleasure to have you with us today, Shahidah. I thank you so much for taking out your time. I know you're a busy woman.
So thanks. No, I thank you for the invite. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am. And you know what? We can just start, and you can help me and the viewers out. What we were doing before the interview started, teaching me a little bit of Alemán that I can use. So you said Buenos Dias was wait a minute, good Tag.
Guten Tag. So guten, almost like good, but guten.
Guten
Tag.
Guten Tag. Well, you know what I heard? Gluten and tag. Gluten Tag. Guten Tag. Got that.
My phone sometimes autocorrects it to gluten.
Yeah, I hear gluten. Let me see what else. Well, good morning. Hello, a simple hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. And how about my name is?
Ich heiße.
Mm-mm.
So it's a little bit like Spanish, you know, like in Spanish, the informal, you would say, me llamo, you know, and in German, we say ich heiße. But the formal would be my Name is, so mi nombre es. So they.
Yeah, and I hear that more with the formal. Mi Name, what?
My Name ist.
Mi Name ist. So let me try this. Guten Tag.
Mm-hmm.
Mi Name ist Tasha.
My Name is Tasha, yes.
Yeah, that was the formal route was better for me in that case.
Yeah.
All right. I'm learning something. Is German closely related to Russian as far as a language?
No, but actually, German is English is a Germanic language, actually. So English, Dutch, and German are West Germanic languages. And they are, according to the Foreign Service Institute, Dutch, if English is your native language, it should take you approximately 6 months to become fluent in Dutch. And it should take you about 7 to 8 months to become fluent in German. Yeah. And what I found out since I've been living here is that Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, and I think Finnish, I'm not sure. Those are, they're Nordic, but that's also a synonym for North German. So they're North German languages and they have some of the same words, not a lot. But like, for instance, if you want to say yes, in German, you say ja. And I believe in Swedish, you say ja too. In Norwegian, like I was watching some channels on YouTube, like Black Girls Learning Norwegian and Swedish. And I was like, wow, I kind of understand like bits and pieces. It sounds German. So.
And I've heard that just from television, y'all. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I asked if they were similar, Russian and German, because that's the thing about media, it helps and hurts. Because, you know, I just always have a stereotypical accent in my head. And my little stereotypical accent is the same for German and Russian, probably. Like, it probably would sound the same. And so they're not related at all. So, but thank you for that insight and even saying all those languages. It seems like you mentioned, I know over 5. It just reminded me of how many exist and I still don't think about, or, you know, because when Finnish, Norwegian, Swedish, all that sounds like, they're all the same language, or they're all, you know, like I couldn't even pick up a little difference. Probably, I'm like, oh, that's
right.
It's all German to me. I don't know.
Right.
That was good. Thank you for that insight and that education. I appreciate it. Let's start with just the origin of Shahidah Foster as I don't know the title you like, but multilinguist or polyglot or whatever you want to say, a lover of languages. Let's just start there. And I would imagine it has something to do with where you're from because there's so much diversity there, but I could be wrong. So just number one, how many languages do you speak? And you can mention what degrees, if you want, that you speak them. And then how did that even begin or start that you wanted to learn languages, period?
Well, I'm originally from New York City. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And as you guys know, we when I first came into this world, we were living in Bushwick. And I don't know like how Brooklyn is now with the gentrification, but at that time there was a lot of Latinos. There was a lot of people from Puerto Rico, especially. So I would hear Spanish a lot, and I know that my mom she loved to like be around the Puerto Ricans. So I'm pretty sure I heard it a lot in the womb, I'm sure. So I just came out like, where the Spanish at? And so yeah, so I remember we lived in Canarsie, which is a part of Brooklyn. And we lived with my godfather, who's from Puerto Rico, and the neighbors, they were all also like Puerto Ricans and stuff. So they would come over talking to him. They would talk to him in Spanish. He always had like Univision and Telemundo in the background playing, always the radio station. So it was a lot of Spanish in the household, basically all day. He just didn't really speak it with us, but I heard it. And as kids, when you hear things repetitively, you're like, what's that? What's that? His name was Jose, by the way. So I'll be like, oh my God, I might hear a word over and over. Let's say I hear like he's watching TV and I hear the word está la. And I'm like, what does that mean? Está bien. What does that mean? I keep hearing him saying, he's like, oh, it means okay. It means everything's okay. So I would pick up, and that's how I kind of learned, because I would hear things repetitively and then say, what does that mean? What does that mean? Right? And so that was, I believe, that's where my love for other languages started, was just growing up in the household with Spanish all the time and just kind of picking it up like that with him. And it was to the point that I actually was a big fan of menudo. I don't know if you know menudo.
Is that, it's like a soup dish? Is that the one that includes the stomach of a cow, or that's the pozole?
That's so that's the dish. Mexicans eat menudo.
Right.
But in Puerto Rico is a boy band called Menudo.
Baby, I'm thinking about food. That's so
yes, it's so funny because the different Spanish in different countries, it means different things.
Woo! Okay,
yes.
I've never heard. I'm just thinking, I knew it was Mexican. I'm just thinking maybe Puerto Ricans eat it too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've never heard of menudo. So it's a group.
So it's like, how we have like Backstreet Boys and we had NSYNC. So it was kind of like that. It was a boy band. Actually, Ricky Martin was part of Menudo when he was younger.
I'm looking at the picture right now.
Yeah, and I was a big fan of Menudo because he would, like I said, play the music and stuff. And I don't know why, but I was a big fan of Menudo. I love their songs and everything. And I was really little. I think it was like 4. I was not, grown enough to know.
I don't know where Ricky Martin's from. This isn't a Puerto Rican group, is it? Where are they from?
Yeah, I believe so. So what happens is the concept of menudo, if I remember correctly, what it is they could only be a part of the group until a certain age, because once they get to a certain age, it's no longer cute. They're starting to get like manly. So what happened is when certain members of the group would reach a certain age, they would put them out and then get newer, younger members. So it's supposed to be like a boy band, not really like, So, but yeah, Ricky Martin used to be a part of Menudo, and I love them. So that's where I started there, my love of languages.
Okay, that is beautiful. How do you think that even, how should I word this? So you grew up in a house where you always heard a lot of Spanish. Did you ever try to start speaking it even then at that early age? Or when you got in high school, you said, I'm going to go with Spanish because I grew up with it. It's going to be easy. I guess just when did it start to become or leave your mouth, if that makes sense, or become something that you wanted to actually dig into versus just being around it and in your environment?
It's a complicated thing, to be honest with you, because the thing was, because I would pick up things that I would repeat after him, things I heard, even if I didn't know what it meant, I just repeat things I heard after him and then later find out what it means. I struggled because, there's a lot of, and, growing up in New York, like, I remember one time we had a class, and this was in junior high school, and it wasn't a language class. It was just the teacher was a Latina teacher. And one of the stories we was reading, it was in like Spanglish because it's the curriculum. Like, so what happened is, I would understand stuff sometimes they would say. And then like, I know this one specific time I love to read. I like whenever they call on you and it's like, oh, you need to read out loud. I was always raising my hand to the point they were like, Shahidah, give somebody else a chance. You already read 3 times. Right. So I remember this one particular story we were reading and, the words, I was reading the words correctly because, I had like a foundation in Spanish. So then people were like all surprised because then, like people were coming up to me after class and stuff like, oh, I didn't know that. Are you Puerto Rican? Are you Dominican? Like, I didn't know. And I was just like, no. And they were like, well, how come you speak Spanish so good? Like how you can pronounce those words so good? And I was just like, I just like it, whatever. And then it was just like this, I just started to get this whole, oh, you're a wannabe. And I'm like, what?
Oh no. I'm so proud of from other people's stories.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're a wannabe. Oh, that's what it is. You're a wannabe. And it's just like, so it really bothered me because I felt like you should be flattered that I even know or even interested in learning that, because there's a lot of people that's like, I only learn English and that's it. I'm not interested in nothing else. Mm-hmm. So I used to get that a lot. So then I found myself. To clarify,
you were getting that from the Latinos in
school. Mm-hmm. And so I got discouraged from that, and I was just like, I didn't want to be I really wanted to, like, when we got the choice to learn another language, I was like, I'm going to learn it in school so that way by the time I get out, I know I will be fluent, because I know that if I learn it in school, I'm the type of person when I go to the bodega, I'm going to keep trying, keep talking, and keep pushing myself every time to the point that I can, be able to speak it fluently. So I already knew, okay, if I start this year, by the end of the year, I'm probably going to be fluent. Just keep going to the bodega, talk to Papi every day, I'll be fine. Right. But because I kept being like, they kept talking about that I was a wannabe and this and that, I was just like, okay. So what I did was, when it was time for me to pick a language to study in school, I picked French because it was close to Spanish, and I didn't want to, we had the option to pick German, Latin, and Spanish or French. And since I didn't want to keep getting called the wannabe, I decided to pick French. And so the French actually kind of helped me because, when I learned the French, and whenever I would see, because, in New York, there's places where they don't even speak English. Like, if you don't speak Spanish, you're not gonna. And so I would see things like signs and stuff in the US that was in Spanish in New York. And I'd kind of understand because I learned so much French. Like, oh, that's the same word. It's just like a pronunciation difference, or it's spelled slightly different. So, I really loved French so much. I kept a diary in French too. Mm. Yeah, and I've been to France twice. I've been to Luxembourg once, and so I really did like French as well. I enjoyed it.
That's good. That's really nice. And so, I think before the interview, you mentioned you studied it for 6 years. Do I have that right?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years. I studied it starting from junior high school all the way through high school. Mm-hmm. So I think I started my 6th grade year. Yeah, my 6th grade year. I will never forget, I had a teacher from France. Her name was Madame Baudier. And she did not play games. Like, she would make us repeat the word over and over until we said it right. Now, of course, my French accent's really bad because I haven't used it in so long, but she would make us, if we had to say, I'm trying to think of a word really quick. Like, if we had to say fille, like la fille, if we're not saying it, she would make us say it like 20 times until she liked our pronunciation. She didn't play games.
Okay, yeah, and that's one thing I've learned. Everybody has a different approach with teaching, and some people have that kind of perfectionist model. Look, we're not moving on till you get this one thing. So yeah, I get it. I get it. I've been to Paris once. And I was so nervous thinking I wasn't going to make it because I was accustomed at the time to only going to Spanish speaking countries. So I would be straight. So I went to Paris. And I'm just nervous. Like, Tasha, you don't know any French. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. So I bought a little small book, studied it for maybe a month. And when I get off the, off the plane in the airport, connecting to the subway or train into the city, and I'm studying on the train. I'm writing, I got a little notepad, and I'm going over my numbers. 1, 2, 3. I don't know nothing else after that. I'm going on my little word. What is it? Parlez pas français? Parlez-vous français? Something like that. I'm just stressing myself. Get off the train. Go on one of the main avenues at a restaurant. I'm asking him for something. I want to ask for something. He's outside of the restaurant. I'm in my little book, like while he's there, like trying to pronounce it. It's wrong. Man just says, just speak English. I'm like, oh, okay. I did all this stressing for nothing. I can't just speak English. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. But I did end up learning, what is it? Water is eau. Do I have that right? Eau. That's probably all I got.
So, it's okay.
Yeah. But
it's fine. French is a little hard sometimes. I went through something similar when I went to Portugal. I was trying to study Portuguese before, I think a month or two before, when I realized I was doing a layover in Portugal. So I said, you know what, let me listen. I study, listen to podcasts, everything. By the time I got there, the only thing I could say was no falo português, which means I don't speak Portuguese. And so I was just like, what is going on? So, and they didn't really speak English. I was in Lisbon. So I went to the train station trying to figure stuff out, and I could kind of figure it out because of Spanish. So the lady, I asked the lady, I'm just like, I forgot how to say, is it perdón? I think it's the same in Spanish. I'm not sure. Please, if I'm wrong. I think I said something like, perdón. I was like, perdón, señora. And she was like, yes, and I was just like, fala inglés? And she was like, no. Fala portugués? And I was like, no. And she was just like, and I was just like, fala español? And she was just like, okay. And then I don't even know if that's right. Fala español. I just mixed it. And then so basically I asked her in Spanish, I need help buying the ticket. And then she was just like, okay. And she told me in Portuguese how to do it. And she talked slow, so I could kind of get it because of Spanish. And then she asked me where I was from. I told her that I was from the US. And she's like, oh, you're from the US. That's nice. And then she was like, you speak Spanish though. And I was just like, well, that's relative. But you speak Spanish. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then it was so crazy because then she kept talking to everybody. Like she was so proud of me. She was like, oh, I'm helping this girl. And again, I couldn't say anything in Portuguese, but I understood what she was saying. She was like, oh, she's from the US. She's going downtown. She's visiting here. Yeah, she doesn't speak any Portuguese. She only speaks Spanish and English. Can you believe it? And she's going to Germany after this. And I'm just thinking to myself,
it's like she's your best friend or something.
Yeah, she just was telling everybody who came nearby us. But yeah, I'm helping her. Yeah, can you believe it?
How long was that layover?
In Portugal, so I think I did the layover for 3 days because I'd never been. So I said,
that's a substantial layover, yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, and it was so crazy because that was my first time being in the country. I don't understand the language that.
I don't think I like it. I made it in Paris, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know about anywhere else. I of course I need to go, wherever life takes me, but I definitely like knowing, I'm going to make it in, 25 countries. Let me just stick. It's not the right number, but I'm going to make it in these Latin American countries. Let me stick with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is a very interesting story. Especially how receptive she was or proud of you she was. Y'all were just besties. Okay.
Right. It was so funny.
So obviously German didn't come in high school because that was an option. You just didn't take it. You took the French route. So where did the German come in? What's the origin story behind that?
Well, the thing was, I started French in junior high school, continued through high school, and then I think my sophomore year, we moved to Germany. We got stationed in Germany. My mom was in the military, so we moved around a little bit. So when we got here, even though I was here, I was like, no. I already put so much years into French. I'm going to keep on. So I kept on until I got to a point where they weren't offering French anymore. I think it was like French 4. And then after that, they didn't have any more French. So something like that, French 3 or French 4, they stopped. So then I was like, I want to take another language, but I wanted to like take Spanish, but I just was like, I don't want to go through the whole wannabe thing, being called a wannabe and all this other thing. I just had this. So I didn't take Spanish. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I'll go ahead and take German. I'm already here. At least I'll be able to say a couple of phrases, something. So I did sign up for a German course, but I'm the type of kid, I always do my homework and read ahead. I'll read 3 chapters ahead or than what we need to do. And so I said, okay, let me read ahead. So I read ahead. I see all these articles, indefinite articles, der, die, das, dem, der, den, dessen. I said, wait, what? Okay, I went to the guidance counselor office the next day. I said, take me out this class. I can't. And they were like, what? I said, I don't care. Put me in cosmetology. Put me in something else. I can't do it. I won't do it. And so, because, in Spanish, it's just la, el, that's it. And then if it's like, sometimes it's like, it changes. I think if it's indirect, like lo, la, but it's not really that serious. And here they have a whole table. I don't know, this is too much. So I went back to just writing in French, my diary. So that's how I kept my French. I would write in my diary, and I think I had like a book or something or a dictionary. So I just kind of self-studied for the rest of I think that was like senior year. So for the rest of the year, I think I just self-studied French, and I was just, I'm not learning. No, that was, I think, junior. Yeah, I think that was junior year. So I said, I'm not learning German. And then I was hanging out with these German kids. We had a lot of half German, half American kids at our school. And then they would have German friends that went to the German high school, right? So I started hanging out with a group of kids, and they would hang out with German kids that didn't really speak English. So they'd have to translate, like, oh, she said this and this and this, and and because I didn't speak German, I was the only one in the group that didn't speak German, right? One time there was this guy that was hanging out with us, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought he was cute. So my friend was like, you want me to tell him? And I was like, nah, he's not going to be interested. Just forgot it. And she was like, no, I'm going to tell him. I was like, please don't. Well, she went to tell him anyway. She was like, oh, I talked to him. I'm like, he's not interested. She was like, well, no, he didn't say that. He said that you don't speak German and he doesn't speak English. So because of the language, there's like no point. Like you guys can't even talk. And I was just like, so you're saying it's just the language? That's the only barrier? She was like, that's what he said. I said, okay, bet, got that. So I was on a journey to like learn German. And then like literally 2 weeks later, I forgot about him. I wasn't thinking about him. Like, I just was like, I'm like that. Like, I'd be like, oh my God, he's so cute. And then 2 seconds later, I don't even remember seeing that guy.
Who is
that?
Yeah,
exactly. Who, what? So I forgot about him, like I want to say about 2 weeks in. I forgot that I was even learning German to get a chance with him. I just was like, I just got so amazed at how much I was learning so quickly on my own that I was like watching the TV, looking at the subtitles. I just got so amazed. I just wanted to keep up the momentum. So I totally forgot about him. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think I never saw him again after that. Because I never even knew that, because otherwise it would have came up again like, oh, well, look how much, German I learned. I never saw him again after that, I don't think. And one of the things I think...
excuse me to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Like those stories in life where you have a mysterious angel to come in your life for a reason. It's like your mysterious language angel, like the person that got you on your journey and disappeared.
Right, it sure did. And so it was good. And the thing was, because I was trying to learn so quickly, I did learn a lot. And one of the things is that I pushed myself. So I was already in Germany, and I used everything to my ability because I said I was going to learn this German. And so what I would do is every time I got in contact with a native speaker, I talked to them, no matter how little I felt like I know. So maybe I would see them and I would say, "Hallo, wie geht's?" which is like, "Hola, ¿cómo está?" And they would say, "Good, un dia." And then maybe I didn't know how to respond. So I would say, "Oh, that's my limit. I don't speak anything." And then maybe the next conversation, because then they'd say, "Oh, you say good, un dia, and that means this." And they would explain it to me. So then the next conversation I had, maybe it was later that day, maybe it was the next day, I'd say, Hallo, wie geht es dir? And then if the person says good und dir, then I know how to say auch good because I learned it the last time. And then when they start and I say, okay, well, that's my limit. That's all I know. And then they would say, oh, well, you can say this. And I kept doing it each time, pushing myself a little bit further each time. That's why I tell people speak, even if you only know 2 words, just speak and say, okay, that's all I know. And then that person will more than likely teach you, okay, well, the next thing you can respond next time you talk is this, and then use it immediately and keep doing that in each time. And incrementally, you'll have like phrases and a vocabulary to have basic conversation.
Yeah. That is really nice. And it sounds like, and a lot of guests on the program reveal that it's an innate desire and unquenchable thirst for language that pushes them and propels them. Because the fact that you wanted to take the risk, try it in reality, and add to your dialogue abilities each time, like you intentionally remembered what they said last time. Now it's the time to say that now. You know, from what you're telling me, it didn't. Your push didn't come from an external source. It was something within. And so I think that always helps when it's kind of an innate thing for a person. So that's really good. I like that. I forgot where I was going to go. I was going to go with that within that same story. Oh, so to clarify, your not initiation into German, but your initial steps or process of learning was self-taught, because you mentioned television, subtitles. So that's and then going applying it. That's it. Or I guess maybe some books too, maybe. I don't know.
I used to love teen magazines. So I started buying like the teen magazines. I think they're called like Bravo here, or they were. I don't know what they call it now. So they're called Bravo. I buy the teen magazines, and in the teen magazines, what they would do, one of the things they did was they would, whatever the popular songs were, they would have the lyrics in English, because, it's always a US song. And then they'd have the lyrics in German translated. So I would kind of pick apart the building blocks. Like, oh, that means this. Oh, that means that. Oh, that means that. Okay. So I would pick out the building blocks, the stuff that I can remember, the conjunctions, the articles and stuff. And then say, okay, oh, this word, like if the word looks similar to the English, oh, okay, that's what that means. Okay. And then I, would do that. So that's one of the ways I learned. Another thing is, I don't know if you remember, but CDs, they used to come with the booklet, and sometimes the booklet had the lyrics.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would buy like German hip hop, German R&B, and if they had the lyrics in it, I'd play the song and I'd read along while they were singing. I hear the pronunciation. So I would just kind of, okay. And because I was kind of picking out the building blocks, I'd try to guess what she was trying to say. And, I try to extrapolate the meaning based on the context of what so maybe I knew what the first sentence said, but there's like maybe a word I didn't know in the second sentence. And then I'd say, okay, I think that means this based on what the first sentence said, And with the R&B songs, it's pretty easy because it's like, they're all saying the same thing over and over and over and over.
You know what? That is a good point. John was real familiar with in other languages. So who are some popular R&B German singers? I would never even think of that existing.
Yeah. I know one of them actually follows me on Black Girls Learn Languages. She's the one that I actually bought the first CDs from her. Her name, she's actually half American and half German, I think. She's Black American, so I think like one of her parents was in the military, and then the other parent was German, if I understand correctly. And so she is, her name is Cassandra Steen, and she has a beautiful voice. She has a very beautiful voice. And then there's another one. I'm not as big as a fan, but she also has a very soulful voice. Her name is Joy Danalani. I think she's South African. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think she's South African or she's mixed. But I think she's South African. I don't think she's like German. And then there's another singer. He's a really good singer. His name is Xavier Naidoo. I think he's also South African. His
name is
Xavier Naidoo.
Naidoo. Okay.
Yeah. So he's South African, and he is like, I would say he's like the German Jaheim.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like our Germany's Jaheim. He's got a really good
I should start.
voice.
I'm not going to understand this stuff, but I should start listening. I'm looking at the 3 people you mentioned now. So Cassandra Stein or Steen, excuse me.
Steen.
Joy
Delani. Joy Denalani, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And the German Jaheim. that flows off the tongue really well. The German Jaheim.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. And I guess, I'm continuing to learn and grow in my comprehension of the multiculturalism of life. But even someone else, like, I don't know, a poster, it came up somehow, maybe in the Melanated Multilinguals group, even in, I think it's through Nathan in his Smarter Korean platform.
Yes.
Korean R&B singers. Maybe he had up a post one day or something like that, and I was just like mind blown, about how. And I guess I'm not surprised because, and some of these people weren't melanated. I think that's what surprised me more when you're a melanated person. But then afterwards, I'm thinking, well, why be surprised? Everybody wants a piece of who we are. And of course, who we are is going to pop. So, but it's still a good reminder of how we're everywhere. We're in everything. What is it? I am everything and everything is me. I think that's a song lyric. So anyway, but that's good. Thank you for those three names. I can listen to something now and be like, ooh, I don't know what it sounds like that they're saying, but it's pretty. La la la. Thanks. Yeah. Let me see. So, the learning of German happened in Germany. Now, that sounds like that was quite some time ago, and you're still there. So, what made you remain there? Say, I'm going to dig deeper into the language. I'm going to go ahead and go to school here. What made you stay and become more integrated into the culture and language?
Well, actually, I went back to the States and came back. So I went back to the States after 6 years, and I was in the States, and I just always had this desire to come back here, but I just didn't think it was really possible. I was just like, people just kind of looked at me like, why you want to go back to Germany? You can't go back to Germany. It's a nice little dream, like that. And I was like, I'm going to go back. So at first I was like, I'm going to get this CELTA certificate to teach English, right? Because this is like, early before, like, this is like right when the European Union started, because before I was living here before the European Union. So it was like a whole lot easier. And then now that the UK has left the European Union, it's gotten even better for native English speakers because they're no longer part of the European Union. So they're not considered part of the labor market. So that was one of the reasons I was like, I don't know how to be competitive as a native English speaker when the UK is part of the European Union. So they're considered as part of the labor market. So it's harder to get a job because it's like, well, we can get someone from the UK. We don't have to approve a visa. So I kind of dealt with that.
Thank you for clarifying why that mattered, that the UK was a part of the EU. Thank you.
Yeah, so it sucks for people that are here as far as like, because people used to buy stuff from the UK, because the UK is like they're not, I wouldn't consider them European. They have this culture that's like, it's like a bridge between US culture and European culture. It's weird. So I would not refer to someone from the UK as European. Like if someone's from France, I would say they're European. If someone's from Germany, I would say they're European. If someone's from Belgium, I would say they're European. But if you say someone from the UK, I would not call them European.
Okay. And you're just saying that because that's just how they come off and promote their culture. Like we're none of these groups. We're our own people.
Yes, but also because they don't like if you look at the YouTubers in the UK, it's almost like some of them like it's almost like watching a YouTuber in the US, except the only difference is the accent. Like especially when you watch the Black YouTubers, because I watch one, I forgot her name is, I think is it Debbie Love. She lost a lot of weight. She got the sleeve, and she does these videos where she does try-ons and stuff. But what I like about her videos is there's another what she does is she gets sometimes one other girl or two, and they do the same clothes but different size. So like maybe she's a size 8 US and then the other girl's a size 20 US. They'll try on the same stuff from Fashion Nova so you can see. And that's why I like her videos. But when I watch her videos, I do not see like European. I see they look like American girls. They just got a British accent.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. Okay. And so you were saying, in reference to them, you weren't able to be competitive, or you thought you would be competitive at a certain time.
Right. And
back to what made you go back to Germany? That was it.
So I finally got a job with a German airline. And so I figured, well, maybe that might be my way in. Get back on with a German company and transfer. Mm-hmm. That didn't exactly work out the way I planned, but I did build the skill set needed to get on with another German company. And then I did get the opportunity to get transferred over here. So that's it. And then I wanted to do, well, the reason I got transferred over here is because I decided to do my master's. And I said, if I do my master's, I'm not doing it in the US because that's too much student debt. I already got enough for my bachelor's. Mm-hmm. So here it's pretty much free. You pay semester fee is like €200 a semester. It's nothing compared to the cost of the US. I wish it cost $200 a semester. And so yeah, so when I quit my job, I gave them I didn't give them a 2-week notice. So what I did was I pretty much 6 weeks in advance, I submitted a proposal to continue to work remotely while I pursue my master's in Germany to support them. Like I gave them 3 options. I said, these are the things. And I think they were so impressed by that, by the fact that they knew, like, because I was in a situation where I kind of had a little leverage because it was like they were shorthanded. So the fact that I didn't just say, peace out, like I actually was like, here, these are the things that I can do to ensure a smooth transition between.
You show concern, genuine concern, right, for their, I guess, how they operate in the future or what they can do in the meantime.
So they looked into like me working over here while I do my master's. And so literally, when I say the last minute, I mean literally a day before my last date, when I already packed up everything. I already bought my tickets. I was ready to go. A day before I was leaving, my manager comes to me and my manager's like, hey. And I just, and this, I don't know why, but this day I decided to dress up because I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out with a bang this week. This week, I'm going to make sure I look on point like I was when I first started, right?
But at this point, you are living back in New York. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. I'm in Long Island because I moved from the Bronx to Long Island. So I was living in the Bronx for a little bit, and then I moved to Long Island. So literally, she comes up to me and she's just like, "Hey, are you busy? Do you have any meetings this afternoon?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Well, the VP from the headquarters in Germany just happens to be here. And he wanted to have a conversation about your application because I forwarded your application along. So I booked a meeting room so that you guys can have a conversation about it." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, that's great."
Look at God. That's wonderful.
Look at him. Look at him. And so we went and talked, and I literally said like 2 sentences in German, and he asked me why I was doing it. And I said, I want to improve my chances. I want to get promoted. And I know that with further education, it'll be easier for me to do that. And he just was like, okay, you're hired. That's it. And
my Lord.
Yeah. And so that's why, and that's another thing that I do. I'm starting to branch out into like, career coaching for, international global jobs, because I was able to do that in 8 months. So it wasn't like I'd been with the company for years. I'd only been there 8 months until I got on here. And then I recently got a promotion. I start my new job.
Congratulations.
Yes. In 11 days,
Mm-hmm.
11 days, 12 days, the 1st of June. So, yeah. And I was able to do that. So I just basically all the knowledge that I've learned to be able to put myself in these positions and be able to move forward. I just want to pass that on. I just want to see Black women do well. I'm rooting for Black women. So.
Oh, perfect segue, Shahidah, into your platform, Black Girls Learning Languages. It's a website, what it's a Facebook group. I don't know how what other areas it extends to, but just tell us a bit about that and why you started it.
So it's a multi-platform digital community. So it's integrated from different platforms. So I have the Facebook group, which is like 2,200 Black women in the Facebook group. It's a private group. You have to be Black. So I always say on my videos, you You have to be Black woman. These are mutually inclusive events. They must occur at the same time. You must be Black and you must be a woman in order to get it. Because people always like, but I thought no. So I always say that in my YouTube, which I haven't updated in a while, but I usually say that in my YouTube videos. So it's for Black women. It's a safe space because we don't have so many safe spaces.
Correct.
Because I'm a member of several groups. And I hate that when they tell you, well, these are the rules for posting, and then you post within the rules and they still don't approve it or they delete their post. And, and then I remember one time I was in a group I think it was called Black Queens, something like that. And now the description says this is an uplifting group for Black women. No negative, misogynoir, all this stuff will be tolerated.
Yes, ma'am.
I was like, okay, great. Not even like a day later, I'm like seeing all these misogynistic posts from Black men and Black women this and Black women that. And I think I wrote one of the admins and I was like, I thought that this was a group about uplifting Black women. Why we have so many posts from like Black men in here being so derogatory? And she was like, well, we don't want to censor anybody.
And see, that's the thing, like, I guess, and that's difficult in our day and age where every group is so sensitive and everybody wants to be inclusive. But I think in inclusivity, we're still reminded how we're different. It's like the closer we try to get to each other, the more we realize we really aren't alike. It's so overall, to your point, we don't have a safe space. And I do like groups like, for example, yours, where it's just specific. This is for this group, the end, because being melanated, we already have so many ways to go, so many areas to branch off into. And sometimes I just want to be Black. I don't want to be Black in this or Black in that. I just want to talk about, as a Black person, this, our subject, the end. Because I was in a mom's group. I think it's called Black Moms United, and it was not united at all.
Really?
Because they want to bring in other issues that really weren't pertinent to being a Black mom, and which would blow up into arguments. And it's just like, let me leave. Right. Let me leave the group. So I get it. It's the groups on Facebook and any other platform. It can be confusing. Stuff sometimes doesn't match up, and it just, like I said, the closer we try to get, it seems like the more we realize I don't really like that thinking. So anyway, I get it. And so for you, you were intentional with Black Girls Learn Languages for Black girls. The end. Goodbye, everybody else.
Well, I won't say that for the Facebook group. Yes. Now I have a public page. Anybody can like that page. Anyone can interact. Yes. Ma'am. I have the Instagram. Anybody can follow me. Anybody can interact with me. I don't mind. I collaborate with everybody. But as far as the private safe space, I'm so sorry. You're not Black and a woman at the same time. This is not for allies. This is not that. This is not that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be sorry. No reason to be sorry. Now, what year did you start with whichever one you started with, just the platform as a whole? What year did this begin?
So everything was created in 2017. So the Facebook, both Facebook pages, the Instagram. I have a Twitter, but I'm not active because every time I get on Twitter, it's all this political stuff, and I get upset. So I don't really use that account as much. I get tagged a lot and stuff on Twitter, but I don't see it for months because every time I go on Twitter,
protect your energy. It's all right. Protect your energy. It's all right.
I mean, now it might be a little bit different because we have a different president. But I know when we had the other president, yeah, it was a little. I said no, I can't. I think I deleted the app at one point because I was like, I can't, because I kept seeing stuff about the other president we had before, and I just couldn't do it. I also have Pinterest, but I don't use it that much. Like, I have a Pinterest account for Black Girls Learn Languages, but I don't really use it that much. And I do have a board. So if anyone happens to find me on Pinterest, that's fine. You can follow the board. I pin like Black women that speak languages, little posts on Pinterest, like ideas on learning languages and stuff like that. Other than that, those are the main things. Facebook, and Instagram. I do have the website as well. I haven't updated it in a while. I will start back updating it. I'm currently doing my master's. I'm actually admitted to the master thesis. So I'm writing my master thesis now. And then once I'm done with that, I will get back to regularly updating the YouTube, the Instagram, and
And congratulations on that. You're just having a lot of wins. That's great.
I am. And then another thing I'm doing is I'm actually studying to get my German driver's license. So once I take the written test and pass it, I have a Florida license. So I can exchange my Florida license because the way it works in Germany is they have an agreement with each state. So like the state of New York does not have an agreement. That's why I did not switch my license back to New York, because then I would have had to start all over. And it's very expensive here because you're required to pay those driving school hours. And after everything is said and done, you pay about like 2,000 euros.
Woo.
Right. So now I just only have to take the written test. And then the agreement with the state of Florida is that I only take the written test and then I can convert it. There's some other states like Colorado and Wisconsin, they're full conversion. So all you do is show up and you just give them your Wisconsin license or your Colorado license, and then they give you the German one back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would never think about something. It sounds simple, but us getting a license would take a little more. Well, I guess it does make sense that it takes more effort abroad, but in reference to what you just said, that it differs by the state you're coming from. Ooh.
Well, for Germany, I'm not sure how it is in other countries. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, I did opt to do it in German because they make the questions tricky on purpose. It's like it's not an easy, like some of the questions, it's like they're multiple choice questions, but some of them are like A or A and B or B and C or A, B and C. Like they make it tricky. And then when I tried to take the test, the practice test in English, not only is it worded tricky, the translation is trash. So I really didn't understand. So I said, I'm just going to do it in German and be done.
Mm-hmm. And you're taking the same test that a German native is taking, the same test. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What made you, and let me make sure I get all the details. How long have you been there living? And I'm not including the military time, but from the time you returned with that job, how long have you been there?
So it's been 2.5 years I've been here.
Okay. So what made you say, I'm going to do it? This is the time, 2.5 years later, let's get this license and just not, and leave, I guess, public transportation alone. What was the push behind that?
Well, I wanted my license before, but the thing is, I had so much stuff going on with my classes, and my classes were during the time of the driving school sessions where they teach you go, I think, every Tuesday, Thursday. And I was having class Tuesday, Thursdays. And I felt like I needed that and I couldn't do it on my own. So I let it get delayed. And then with COVID, I got lucky because normally you have a year, but they extended it twice. So I have until September 2nd to do it and convert my Florida license, which is going to get done like this month. So I'm done. But what really pushed me was two things that pushed me. The first thing that I was like, I ride my bike everywhere, which is great because I'm active. But when it got cold outside, when it started getting like 20 degrees outside, don't nobody want to be riding no bike.
But wait a minute, that's true. I was gonna say, you're from New York. Are you not used to it? But even in New York, I guess you weren't on a bike. You were on a train.
Transportation. And I live in a small town, so what happened is the job that I have, there's no bus stop, so I have to either walk. Or I have to, and I can't walk because the thing is, if I walk, it's going to take me like 20, 30 minutes in the cold. Whereas if I just take my bike, it takes me like 9 minutes and I'm done. I'm out the cold. So, but I was just like, so that was the first thing that was like, I'm not going through this again. The second thing, but then I never did it. So the second thing where I was like, oh no, I'm getting my license. My friend invited me to her wedding. I had to get a ride with somebody. That's not the problem. The problem is, this is not the problem. So let me tell you something. You know CP time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me tell you something. African time got CP time beat, okay? African time got CP time beat. So that wedding was supposed to start at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Because I was like thinking myself, why are we still at the hotel? Oh my God, we're going to miss the wedding. Because, I'm American. I forgot that, right? I'm like, oh my God, we're going to miss the wedding. We got there. Even the bride was already ready. She was waiting on the best men, the husband's best men. So we didn't start the wedding until like 11 o'clock at night.
That is severe. I'm thinking what you about to say, like 7. 2
no,
hours.
That's what I said. That's CP time. CP time.
2 hours. Right. 11.
I think like 10 or 11.
It's midnight. It's another day.
Yes. And then I was like, okay, so the wedding celebration, wherever, and she had like, it was, don't get me wrong, it was beautiful. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
But my thing was, I had to wait for a ride home. And you know, and that's another thing. So they were supposed to have been finished at, I think, 4 or 5 a.m. That wasn't happening. That was not happening.
They want to party. They want to turn up and cut up and go all night.
Right. And so what ended up happening was I did get a ride. I did get a ride earlier. I was tired. And I did get a ride earlier because the girl that I got the ride with, I think they were part of the wedding party. So they were needing to stay.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's okay. So they were needing to stay until the end. And I was just like, I don't want to stay until the end. I'm tired. And so somebody who wasn't part of the wedding party, they were leaving. I said, oh, can I get a ride with you? Thank you. And I said to myself, I need to be able to leave when I'm ready to leave. I'm so used to that in the US. Whether it's take a bus, take a train. And the thing is, because this location was so far out in the country, you need a car. And so, yeah, so I was just like, you know, taxi wasn't even an option because it was so far out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I gotta get my license. So that's one of the things. And so I say that to say, it made me realize I really miss the luxury of being able to leave when I want to leave. When I'm tired, all right.
That independence.
Right. That independence. So, okay, all right, I'm gonna head out. See y'all tomorrow. See y'all later. You know, I miss that. So, I mean, it's okay when you have public transportation. You live in a city like Berlin, Hamburg, Munich. It's like living in New York. You can take the bus, the train, the Strasse, everything. You can take everything. But I live in a small town and we don't have all of that. So I would like my independence back.
I feel you 100%. When I was living in Spain, I lived there for about 9 months. Someone took me to a Halloween party, and on the way to it, I realized this probably wasn't smart. Like, they could kill me, because we were going deep in the country, like pitch black, no lights, as far as street lights or poles, or because I'm from a rural area in the U.S. and we still at least have poles, every I don't know, 1/5 of a mile or whatever to light the way. I'm in Spain. It's just like, oh, you thought you were gonna get some light out here. It's a desert looking area. I'm like, this is the perfect scene in a movie where somebody dies. Like, Lord,
oh my gosh!
I hope these. I had already known the people through just being in the town, communally. I was taking salsa classes with them, but you don't know anybody,
right?
Especially abroad. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to die. So we get there. We get to the place. We get to the house. It's really a party. It's really going well. But because my point of the story is leaving when you want to leave. I had a nice time. I socialized. And after so long, I was like, I'm ready to go. So I went in the living room and just laid down. And they came in and like, are you okay? Are you sick? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I just kind of ready to leave, but I can't rush you all. So of course I had to wait it out. It wasn't too long. It didn't feel like forever, but I get that point. And also definitely about the cultural time. Because even with, I don't really consider a Spaniard Latino, but I guess maybe Hispanic, but even there's CP time for that culture as well. When I was wanting to go to a Halloween party there, like another one, like the town's party they were promoting. The flyer said, I don't know, 9 o'clock. Okay. So I'm like, I'm gonna be there at 9 o'clock. Because in my mind, especially a Spaniard, they're more European, right? White,
right.
Focused on time. Not where I was. So the flyer says 9, I'm going at 9. So before the party, my kind of Spanish mom and her family, they had a gathering at somebody's house. I went on my way to the town's party. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I really want to go. Because I think her husband had offered to give me a ride. I'm like, well, I'm ready to go now. It says 9. And he's telling me, like, Tasha, this is all in Spanish. It's not going, you don't have to leave now. It's okay. But, Tasha, the sign says 9. But it's not really 9. He's trying to make it plain to me. I'm like, I just want to be safe because it's a costume competition and I got my costume together. I just want to be safe.
Right.
I'm gonna take you. Okay. So we pull up. Barely anybody's there. Like we pull up like at 9 or maybe 9:30. but anybody's there. And then I'm like, oh, you were right, you know.
Oh my gosh.
He lets me, drops me off anyway and leaves. And I'm there by myself probably 2 hours. Like, I mean, you can see people setting up and things like that. But as far as the crowd, it was I'd say 2 hour wait before the crowd came. So about like 1 a.m., then the party starting. So it was a lesson that CP time exists for several groups. So
yes.
Yes, ma'am. But it was a nice experience overall. How long do you think you'll be in Germany?
I'm gonna stay here. I like it. When I tell you the work-life balance is unparalleled. Like when I got my first contract, it said my vacation days were 30 days, which is 6 weeks. I was like, is this a typo? I always say that. I'm like, I'll tell that story. I'll be like, is that a typo? 6 weeks? Like, I'll take it. I mean, I'll take it. But, you know, and another thing is I quite like here, when you're sick, you're sick. Don't come back here. Don't come here until you feel better. The end. Because in their mind, it's like you're not efficient. You're actually, you're causing more trouble because you can't work at your regular efficiency because you're not feeling well. You're prone to making mistakes. You're prone to, so basically just go home. It might even just, efficiency wise, it's better if you just go home, stay home. And then also don't get everybody else sick, right? I remember when I called out sick I've been here 2.5 years and only called out sick once. And then I came back to work after 3 days and my manager's manager, he was like, you feeling better? And I said, no. This is pre-COVID. He's like, you feeling better? I was like, no. He said, so why are you here? And so I feel better. I'm the only person working on the cell culture units. And he was like, no, go home. And he said, if it takes more than 3 days, go to the doctor, fax your note, email your note to HR and be done. And come back when you're ready to come back, when the doctor says you can come back. I was like, okay. And it's like in the US, you call out sick, they're texting you, okay, but can you still come tomorrow? Like they don't have any concern for the fact that you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
It's like, as long as you're still breathing, you can come to work. I never just don't understand. I never understood that about American work culture. It's like they want you to work. But when you say I need a minute to recharge, they treat you like you trying to steal.
Yeah, like something wrong with you.
And it's just like, just batteries need to recharge. At some point, the battery gonna give out, and you know, and you know, and I know we have these little memes that's like, oh, they'll replace your job, and it's the truth. I know somebody at one of the call centers, they had died. They weren't on the phones, but they worked at the call center, and they had died. I don't remember what they died of, but they did not offer any kind of therapy. They didn't have, normally, you know, if they died, they like offer, like if you need to talk to someone because you knew or whatever, if this is affecting you, some jobs do that. They're like, oh, we have the behavior health, you know, it's included in that for this time, go ahead and contact them, whatever. They said that after she died, and they announced that she died, literally, the people in her office was like arguing over who's going to move to her desk. And then they posted her position. They posted her position before they even sent flowers to her family or anything like that, or even a moment of silence or anything like that. And I was just kind of like, you know, I never understood this American, and I never liked it. I just kind of semi-accepted it because it is what it is. It's what we deal with. But I couldn't imagine going back to that.
Yeah. So it sounds like overall, your experience abroad, especially in terms of work, you just have so much peace. Why would you go back to the chaos? Why would you go back to the rat race? Right? Why would you go back to the
And it's so much easier because one thing I can say about they're very process oriented here, and also another thing is they're very with the feedback. They don't pull punches on the feedback, but it's not personally meant. I know in the US we take things personal because we equate like what we do with our intrinsic value a lot of times. So if you're an artist, you're creative, and you do something and then somebody doesn't like it, they give you negative feedback. A lot of times it's like they say, oh, this looks horrible. You hear, you're a horrible person. That's not what they said, but because you equate your creativity with what you do, that's what you hear. And it's sometimes, they have these whole methodologies on how to give feedback as a manager. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Here, it's kind of like, this is horrible. And it's like, it's understood. This has nothing to do with you as a person.
The work you produce is not good. The work you produce, not you. Mm-hmm.
On this specific thing. So it doesn't even mean the work you produce in general, unless they say that. So if they say this thing that you did was incorrect, that just means this was incorrect. It doesn't mean everything you do is incorrect. Doesn't mean you need recurrent training on everything, And so that's one of the things I've come to appreciate is when I get negative feedback, it's just meant, hey, you did this wrong, or this is not ideal, or doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean I'm stupid because the thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Just do it better. That's it. So that's one of the things I've also come to appreciate here.
Yeah, and I from my experience dealing with people who live or are from other countries, that's just the American sensitivity. We have an issue with that. We're just very sensitive people, and sometimes sensitivity is good, but sometimes it's not. So I get it. Overall, what I'm hearing is you appreciate their ability to be frank, and it's not a big thing. It's not a deal. Just this is what I said next,
Right. I really do like it. I really do like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every country has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I really do like it, and I feel like I just feel like it's an enjoyable culture as far as those things go.
Okay. Well, we are coming up, or we've actually passed our hours because the conversation has been that good, and you've given so many great insights, and I appreciate that. So let's wrap up with and I don't even know what you said during your intro. So if you can remember what you said, go ahead and giving that in English, and then I'm going to go ahead and ask a few other questions I normally ask during the introduction. So you'll say I'm in English too. So your introduction in, English, por favor.
Yeah, so I basically was like, hi, I'm Shahidah, and I'm here doing the interview on your channel. And today it's going to be talking about, it's called Hablamos Alemán. Mm-hmm. And then I said that I was the founder of Black Girls Learn Languages, an online community for Black women that love languages. So they either learn the languages or they just love it. And they also love the culture that comes along with it, because we also talk about culture in the group as well. So that's basically what I said. And that's just saying I was happy to be here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. One question I normally ask, and so through talking to you, we know you're from New York. We got that. I often ask about the person's favorite song in the language they speak and singer. So in reference to singer, would it be a German singer? Would it be one of the three people you mentioned, Cassandra, Joy, or Xavier?
Yeah, so actually I would say right now my favorite singer is still Cassandra Steen. I still have her older stuff because they're like kind of 90s. And then there's the new people that came out now. But yeah, the 90s, stuff from the 90s, I love Cassandra Steen. I have a lot of her songs, her albums, and like MP3. And so I love to listen to her. And one of my favorite songs by her is there's so many, but I know one that I like is called Was immer es ist, which means whatever it is. So it's basically a song saying that it's a nice fun beat, and it's basically
write that down.
Whatever it is. Yeah,
I can't spell in German, but I'm gonna write it how it sounds to me. La sama des ist?
No, was.
Was, okay.
Immer. Es. Ist. So ist. Was immer es ist.
Okay.
And she's basically saying whatever it is, I give you whatever you want, whatever you need.
Kind of like, it sounds like Maxwell's whenever, whatever. That's what I'm hearing.
Kind of a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I got it, even though Google will know what I'm trying to type when I put it in.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. This has been a pleasure. Like I said, thanks again for taking out your time. To you, the viewer, I know you got a lot of great nuggets. Please follow Black Girls Learn Languages on the various platforms she mentioned. And thank you for the work you do. And congratulations on all the wins in your life as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. You take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.